Hello, procrastinators!
And welcome to the Nerd³ podcast. It's our New Year / Christmas extravaganza and our awards. So,
Yes.
today we have Dan.
Hello.
And me, what?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that's me, what? So, to start off with the Christmassy mood, I thought we'd start off by talking about a recent death.
Yay!
Yay,
Aww.
death. I don't know why I associate death with Christmas. I'm not sure if it's the Doctor Who specials or sort of, Christmas Carol, but anyway. On a serious note, a very great man died recently, just after our last podcast, in fact. Not because of our podcast, I'm sure. But
we don't know that for a fact, though. I will point out.
We don't know that for a fact. R.A. Montgomery, who created the Choose Your Own Adventure books, died. And do you want to explain that joke to the audience?
What, the published by Batman joke? Yeah, I can't remember the actual name of it now. The company that published the Choose Your Own Adventure books was like Bamnapt or something. It was just a really obvious anagram of Batman. It was something books. I can't remember, but I always called them Batman books when I was a kid, and they weren't. And I only realised that as a grown-up, and it killed me inside just a little bit more.
Aww.
Merry Christmas!
But yeah, he died, and part of me really would like to have gone to his funeral, because I really hope, like, the order of service booklet that you get was a Choose Your Own Adventure. Like, you see the family members up above. Do you go and speak to them? Sneak into the back where no one's listening. Go to the graveyard and hold a seance. You know, like, I think there would be some fun things. I mean, obviously, you have to try and go to the family, but you sneakily have a look at the hold a seance, because that's clearly the fun death one. Because you always die horribly if you go in the wrong way.
Yeah. That's the Douglas Adams one, in which case you die from anything. Stress, you're dead, everything, you're dead. Oh, that was more text adventures, though. They're very slightly different.
It was the evolution, though, of them.
It was the evolution, and then they just sort of stopped. And then everything's now explosions and tits. Isn't it great? Merry Christmas. I would point out, I'm slightly on some medication. I threw my back out. You can probably tell. I'll say you can probably tell. There's some paracetamol and things flooding around me right now. Cocaine. I'm off my tits.
It's not cocaine.
Cocodamol, that's the one.
Cocodamol.
That's the one.
That's better. Talking of coke addictions, I'm actually down to about 3 litres a week. Which, considering I used to get through amazing. 4 litres a day, is pretty impressive for me.
Was it the 7th or the 8th heart attack that was the opening guys for that?
So far, I am nil point when it comes to heart attacks, and doctors around are going, my God, if he's got to roll one at one point.
You are, there is actually...
In the RPG of life, someone's rolling a dice going, they've got your luck, basically.
Yeah, my dice rolling luck, which is just knowing how a dice rolls. You know, every time you go to, like, if you ever go to Southend Hospital, there's actually a wall chart, and it's just the nurses betting when you're going to just give out. It's a true story. That's a true story. That's a true story. I've got my money down, but it's... I mean, would that be? I'm like, oh, this thing, come on! On your deathbed, I'm like, I could smother him. No one would know.
Okay, so gaming news.
Really bright start to this. Everybody's down. Oh, God.
Everyone's dying. Yes, we're going to be. Sorry, just a brief outline for everyone.
For the person listening to this, you're not dying. You're immortal. Watch out for that bus! Oh God, too late.
Shouldn't have been listening to us while being on a train, because I assume that all people hit by buses are on trains.
True story. It says is the driver listening to this? Gotta watch out for those level crossings.
Yes, this podcast, we're going to try and rush through it because it's going to be a big one, because it's going to be our awards ceremony and our regular podcast as well. So there's going to be a lot of stuff here.
Yes.
So, gaming news is first.
News.
So I played a few things recently. Ooh. Yeah, I played... so there's a game called Mortine, which recently came out in early access. Saying it came out is actually really pushing it. Bare bones sort of scraped past the alpha got out. It's based on... so, for those of you who don't know, Games Workshop makes Warhammer, and then which is a miniatures-based game, and then
Orcs and elves in it.
Yeah, and Space Marines in
Dawn of War. That's
40K.
Dawn of War's the good game. I like
Dawn of
War.
War,
It's one of my
yeah.
favourite. Dawn of War
And
Mark II,
every-
I can't remember. One. Yeah,
I don't.
you get the ones that go invisible. I like them. They're my favourites.
But every 5 years or so, they release a new game set in the same universe, which is really interesting. And for about half a year, everyone plays, and then everyone goes, "Why can't we play this here anymore?" And they go, "No, we're not doing it anymore." And then everyone gets really annoyed at them because they release games and then refuse to support them. So, Mortine is one of these games from, I think, early 2000 or so. It's one of those games which for 6 months you could play, and they held in the store and sold miniatures and then said, nope, no more. And then it suddenly became really high value to have the rulebooks because it was quite popular. In the way that as popular as a niche game about miniatures could be. So, a company, I have no idea who, because that's how well I've done my research, are making this into a video game. And it's quite impressive because one of my biggest problems with the game is it sticks too closely to the board game. Because it's a miniatures-based game, and you used to it's specialised on you have a warband, and your warband picks up injuries and things, which sounds like it should tie into our permadeath roguelike nature of computer games very well. But one of the problems is that you don't get the injuries until after the battle, and then you randomly roll for each injury. And bearing in mind it's now a computer game, I'd have actually liked sort of, to have got the injury dependent on how that person died and things like that, and had it instantaneously rather than just rolled at the end.
Yeah.
So things like that I kind of wish they'd evolved, but I'd rather they were too close to a game than too far off base, so I'll let that slide. But the reason I really wanted to talk about it is because it's a turn-based game, but it has a rather interesting movement and viewpoint system in that it goes through one person at a time by initiative order, and then when you play as a character, it goes into a third-person mode, and you have a little circle around you, which is sort of one movement away, and then when you cross that circle, a new circle is drawn around you, and that's another one. So you count how many movement points you have by how many times you cross a circle. And it's very nice because you then have the third person perspective that just makes you feel that much closer to the game, rather than a sort of big isometric view. And you can have the sort of tabletop view, but it's really nice to get down very close. And you can also walk backwards along your own path to undo walking as well, which is nice. Though that doesn't happen if you've triggered something. So if you walk somewhere and then, out of the fog of war a monster comes, you can't then go, oh no, I didn't want to do that. But you can say, let's see if I can reach there. Okay, I can't reach there. Let's see if I can reach there.
Yep.
So long as you don't trigger anything.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say that was there, and I really like the third-person viewpoint. The rest of it is still far too early to tell. But yeah, in case people were interested, I wanted to mention that.
Ooh. Well done. You did.
Cool. There we go.
I played a game. I did a thing.
Go for it.
That may not get... I recorded a video while I was playing this, and the video may have fucked up. I think I can fix it, but it may not be out for a while because I don't quite have time to fix it yet. So the video may be up. It may never come up. It may come up. I don't know. I won't say too much. I played Injustice: Gods Among Us, which is
I played that.
Not a crap God of War clone, is what I thought it would be. Because I saw that title and went, that sounds like some sort of cheap knockoff of God of War.
No,
and
it's
it was
a
free to
DC
PlayStation
fighting
Plus,
game.
and I was like, I was not expecting a fucking one-on-one fighting DC fight. I was like, what? So,
it's Mortal Kombat, isn't it?
Yeah, I assume it's made by the same people because for some reason it's DC characters and Scorpion. For some reason. But that's on PS4, and I am really, really enjoying the story mode. Because it's stupid. It is. In the video that I really hope happens, because it does that PlayStation thing if it hasn't downloaded fully. The story mode actually downloads like the first bit during when I'm playing, so I'm like, oh, we'll just have a go at this. And by the end of it, I am just enjoying it a ridiculous amount. What it does is they've gone... it's really expensive to make cutscenes, so we're going to have to make our cutscenes get all the information done as quickly as possible. So everything jumps about a lot, but it feels a lot like sort of how TV works. They've actually really
how comic books
and then
work.
Everything, or how comic book work, yeah, of course. And it really just constantly, it's like, here's the cutscene, and then every cutscene fades into the battle that you play. So I'm there going, I'm playing all the right bits of this. This actually doesn't feel like a slog to get through with all these loads of cutscenes, because this feels right. Because it just fades into them. Like, I do the bits where we battle. We've established this. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it.
I really like the art style of that game. I think I picked it up a while ago on the Steam sale just because I like the way that the art looked on it and the various costumes.
You get a lot of costumes for the characters. It's good.
I thought that was all very interesting and cool.
I like that when they go, you're like, okay, so how is this guy supposed to beat up Superman? And in the thing, they're like, we've got this pill, it makes you 1,000 times stronger. And then they never bring it up again. And you're like, okay. That works. Like, I think, actually, there is a point where, like, Green Arrow is like, I want to question that. And Batman's like, there's no time, we have to just do this. And I'm like, you know, that's literally, in, like, anything, especially sci-fi, this happens. That's all I need is an explanation. If there's something that's magic, mystical, just go, oh, science. And I go, oh, okay. But if you don't say, oh, it's science, then whatever. It's just confusing. Yeah, it's just really confusing. So yeah, it's a big Batman versus Superman off that's actually fantastically stupid and enjoyable. I'm having a great time with.
My favourite comic book series is More Than Meets... That's Transformers More Than Meets the Eye. And at the moment, they do things like, say... so he's going to get us there by magic, and then puts an asterisk mask afterwards, and then at the bottom of the page says magic equals science that Rodimus doesn't understand.
Yeah, that works as well. I like
and
that.
they have someone who does understand it, but it's everyone else just goes, no, I'm not a scientist. I just acknowledge that somewhere it makes sense.
We don't need the science explained to us. We just need you to say, oh, we know this, and yeah, it's science.
Yeah. Here are the rules. Now you can play in it.
Yes. That's the... My brain jumped onto another topic. No, fuck it, we finished with Injustice. What's the title about? Is it sort of like, technically, like, Injustice is supposed to be Justice League? Because it has no
probably.
DC sort of thing on it. So that's why it really threw me. And I was like, you should have advertised this a bit better, surely.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's the opposite of the Justice League, and it's Injustice because Superman's going bad as well.
Yeah.
It's part of the plot. Thing. So that's probably where it is.
Yeah, it's confusing. A little tiny other bit of news that I want to talk about was that Papers, Please is coming to the iPad.
Okay.
But Apple have censored it. Apple don't want no boobies or penises or whatever there was. The blurry, hard to make out things that were in that game, they have to be taken out. You have to have whatever, pixelated underpants or a crying koala face or whatever it is.
How can you pixelate Papers, Please any more than it is?
It is pixelated. It is pixelated. But yeah,
like if you pixelate any areas, surely that ups the resolution of the game.
Yes, but the full nudity, which was great at making you feel really fucking uncomfortable, has to be taken out for this game. Yes, which is just Apple being Apple.
Yeah. It's weird that Apple wouldn't want you to feel like technology, knowing everything about you would make you feel uncomfortable. Because they're really comfortable at knowing everything about all of your life that you've put on your phone.
Everything.
I wanted to talk briefly...
That phone made by those 10-year-old starving children somewhere you don't give a shit about. Merry Christmas. Hope you got an iPhone. Some kid who rubs an iPhone is like, no! Oh, that would make this whole podcast worth it. Yes, next thing, let's go.
Magnetic by Nature. I want to talk about Magnetic by Nature. It's a small game I found on Steam, and I was quite disappointed by it.
Aww.
Because I was hoping it was going to be Super Magnetic Neo-esque, which is my favourite. Well, it's my favourite platformer.
Yes.
But this game had sort of the same. It's 2D with you have two shoulder buttons. One is a attract and one is a repel option, which I didn't like because that's not how magnets work.
Yeah.
They should be north and south rather than attract and repel. So I never, and just that alone kind of annoyed me enough for the rest of the game. But if you haven't played Super Magnetic Neo and that wouldn't annoy you, it's probably not so bad. But it was one of those things that annoyed me so much I had to have a small rant. North and south, because they repel each other and attract each other, and when I press the wrong one, I want the opposite thing to happen to me. Because that was one of the great things you could do in Super Magnetic Neo, is if you were just about to miss the jump pad, you could hit the wrong one and attract yourself to it. And things like that. But, not being able to do that just made it a bit more bland, which was a pity. And then final thing I wanted to talk about in gaming news. Uncharted Thieves Among Us has... Oh, sorry, Thief's End...
Thieves Among Us. You're on Injustice again.
Yeah, that's
that'll be a
it.
Plot twist at the end. You got to go and kill Superman.
Uncharted Thief's End.
Nolan North Among Us.
finally released. Some gameplay trailer for it.
Yes.
With a whole load of footage, and I have to admit, considering my view of this game has been, why do you keep showing me small teasers for this? This is so boring.
Yeah.
This actually made me excited, this video.
It's got a lot of vertical play to it.
Yeah, there was a lot of almost stealth-like stuff to it, but not hardcore stealth, sort of stupid light stealth that you would find in an action movie.
Yeah.
So did you see it then?
Yeah. I watched the thingy.
I loved all of the bits
PlayStation
like...
thing, I missed it,
but
I saw it afterwards.
I loved all of the things like pulling someone off of a ledge and then them grabbing onto your leg afterwards and stuff like that, which is just so... really made it feel great.
It didn't look that pretty. Like, when I think of the Uncharted series, I think of the game that on the PlayStation 3 made me go, holy shit, and on the PlayStation Vita made me go, holy shit, and this one was kind of like, yeah, that needs some colour. That needs some colouring in, because it was very grey. It was had that sort of, that grey sort of... It was lots of dark greens and dark browns, and for me, Uncharted has always been bright and camp, and didn't quite glue together.
I felt it was quite green, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
It could also just be the stream as well.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Other thing I will mention is I can already guess what the end of the game is. Bearing in mind it's called A Thief's End, and right at the end I was there going... At the end of the trailer I was there going, well, this is great, but I really like all of the dialogue. Where's the rest of the dialogue? Who's he with? It's like, oh, that's his brother. Well, I know the ending of this.
Yeah. His brother, who is voiced by what's his face? Oh shit, I can't remember his name now. The guy who does all the other games that Nolan North isn't in.
Okay. The
guy who's in like BioShock and fucking everything. He's in everything else.
Yeah.
Like, so it's those two talking was like, wow, that's like the guy who's in every movie. I don't know. I can't think of it. There's nothing like this.
There's nothing like it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those weird. It's a weird thingy. Oh,
so yeah. Oh, you go for it.
There was another bit of gaming news. It was a quite interesting take on free to play, but not really, but kind of ish, sort of. Killzone Shadowfall had an update. That meant that they have Killzone Shadowfall like every first-person shooter has DLC or whatever. The new update lets you play for a new currency called Valor, and that Valor can be used to unlock the DLC that you normally paid for. So you can actually unlock things that were just DLC with just playing the game. That's like the inverse of free-to-play. sort of.
Yeah, that's a bit interesting.
That is a bit, I haven't had really too much detail into it, but I just wanted to bring it up. But I saw that, and I was like, oh, I have to read into that a bit more. Because normally it's sort of like the little things that, like, you have to get this, I think, maps or guns or whatever. But now you can play and you get this Valor, and it works well.
That
Which is the opposite of
interesting.
what Destiny did, because Destiny updated and then wouldn't let you play some of the content that was previously in it. It's DLC locked off content that was previously available, I heard. So that's fun.
Well, it's Bungie, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm hearing nothing
Fun.
good.
Fun
Nothing good
is
about
nothing but what we hear about Bungie. Sorry,
Bungie were great.
for
They-
those in the podcast, you can't see me grimace as I say that.
Bungie made Oni, which was a great game, and they made nothing else.
Okay.
That's
So-
what I like to think, anyway.
Talking of Killzone, which was on your Game of the Year's list.
Yeah, by accident. It was wrong. It shouldn't have been.
Should it not have?
A few people pointed this out, but that actually came out in November of 2013. I put that in wrong. I fucked up, because what I do is I write, like, as I go through the year, I add games to my list. And when I added Killzone, because like I have a short list, and then I have a long list, and then I make it a short list, and then I make it the final ones. So in my long list of, hey, this was a really good game, I checked the date and went, oh yeah, that was a year from the point when I originally wrote it in, which was like in March. So yeah, I fucked it up slightly. It's still one of the best games I played this year though, because I didn't get a PlayStation 4 on launch, so I definitely couldn't have played it at launch.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Japanese release was in the time that was allowed, so I'm counting that. I played it in Japanese. Konnichiwa.
Later on, we will have to discuss time frames, but most of my computer games are safe.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you've done your computer games, and I
Yes.
assume that everyone can check out your own video for poop and not poop games for
Yeah.
your rundown.
Which is weird, because I gave Isaac number 1, and it's a game that's literally filled with poop.
Ah, there we go.
No, it's a totally not poop game that actually does contain poop.
Yep. But poop is a reference to the quality rather than the
It is a reference to the quality, yes.
the content.
I kind of felt like it needed an asterisk by this year, because it's like nothing really got to the heights of last year.
Well, this
Like,
is my
last year I was
problem
there
too.
going, oh, it was so good, and this year I was kind of like, well.
Yeah, I had this too. I mean, everyone knows that because of the last 2 weeks I've gone on about what a great year for for films it is.
Yeah.
That I'm going to say lots of good things about the films, and like we've had so many years where I've gone, it's a great year for games, but the films are just lacking it.
Yeah.
It feels like we've just switched. Apparently, we can only have one thing being good at a time. Because I was trying to work out what my game of the year would be, and I just struggled. Like, I know the game that I've played and enjoyed the most this year, but it came out in 2008 originally. So I've been playing lots of Xenoblade, like hundreds of hours, and like, but yeah, I can't classify that as game of the year because it came out a while ago. I then was sort of going through things. It was like Broken Age isn't finished yet, so
Yeah.
I don't think it really counts. I enjoyed Lightning Returns gameplay style, but I never finished it or really got into it because it was part of the Final Fantasy 13 world, which is just broken. Just the worst pile of shit. And like, if ever a game would have been better not being part of a franchise, that would be it. So yeah, the franchise killed that one for me. Banner Saga was rather interesting. I would like to give it an award in the classic Nerd³ style. We give out awards based on the games rather than based on a set of criteria.
Yeah.
I want to give it the best Saga game because they got sued for that.
Yes.
So I want to give Banner Saga the best Saga game.
You can. I will go with that one. No vetoes here.
But yeah, it was a really interesting game. It was very text heavy, and I'm dyslexic, so I never quite gave that the amount of time it deserved.
Yeah.
Which I should probably give another go at some point. But yeah, it was an interesting. It's a tactical game, and it's got permadeath, but all of the permadeath is kind of in the sort of choose your own adventure decisions rather than in the gameplay decisions.
Yeah.
So when you're in a battle, if someone dies, they come back to life. But when afterwards someone a monster comes and attacks you and you have to make your decisions of one of 3 decisions, that's when you're really shitting your pants, because suddenly, like, just journeying from one place to another, like, there might be a drunk, and, like, if you are too stern to him, there might be backlash, but, you know, if you get rid of him, and there are just so many times along the way you're going, I don't know, do I back this person up? Do I send them in alone? Do I storm the castle? Like, all of those decisions will have fatalities that affect you in a way that when you're fighting the fight, you're like, oh, I can relax now. Now I'm just having a proper sort of chess puzzle tactics thing. So that's really interesting about it. It's just a bit text heavy, which is a problem for dyslexics. But other than that, it was a good game. And then other than that, I've really played a lot of the Endless Legend and Dungeon of the Endless. But one of those is still in early access, and I'm not sure which. So they don't count.
Well, it's 2 early access games, yeah. That's the rules
but it's,
we've got now that that's a fucking problem.
Yeah, but...
So that's what's going to be great about next year, because all the early access games come out next year. Next year we've got Kerbal Space Program, Prison Architect, and we just loads of shit like that, and then they go, Gang Beasts will probably come out. Just they're going, that's going to be a hard year to pick a winner. So really, by default, the only game that I particularly enjoyed enough to even feel is worthy of an award would be Transistor. Oh yes, I didn't play it. I should have
done. I did. Well, I played it for about 3 hours and went, oh, this is good fun, and then did not get back to it.
Yeah.
And I feel reluctant to make that Game of the Year. So, I'd like to give an award for being the best of the year, but it's not Game of the Year. This year did not deserve a Game of the Year.
Well, I couldn't get it running. Transistor just never ran on my computer. It might do now, there might have been a few patches, but when it came out and after like the first patch, I just couldn't get it running.
It had some really nice stuff, like you could go into a programming mode where you could walk around and actually plan out your moves, and that was really fun. And then all of your moves could combine together as well, so that each attack had the attack and then 2 slots for bonus abilities, but each of your options for an attack was also had a sort of, this is the attack and this is the the mod that it makes on when you attach it to something else.
Yep.
So you have an extremely large possible number of attacks, because you could put sort of A with B as an option
and just keep it and spam.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true, but I think the thing is that it meant that everyone could have a different thing that they really liked, rather than everyone going through with the, oh, you clearly just use this weapon. And there was that sort of promotion of experimentation of you going, oh, maybe I might try and make a new move and see if I can do that, which was interesting. But apparently just didn't quite grip me as much as it should have. So,
yeah. I mean, I had a few that people were saying, where was this thing in the awards? Like Shovel Knight. I like Shovel Knight. I thought Shovel Knight was kind of a game, but I never finished it. I thought this was good fun, and then I sort of just didn't get far enough into it to give it an award at the end. Like, what was the other one that people were like, wait, oh, Banished, which was quite good fun, but after a little while, you sort of work out how to do Banished, and then there's not enough variety in... It didn't have that creativity that like keeps me going in things like SimCity and Rollercoaster Tycoon. It was a lot more restrained, because it was not doing a lot of building. So I didn't really give that anything. And the other one was Hack and Slash. And they said, why wasn't Hack and Slash in your top games? I went, because it was early access still. And they went, actually, it's come out. And I was like, what? Apparently Hack and Slash is out. Didn't play it when it came out. I thought it was still early access. Yeah. Huh. Well, okay, so that was a mistake. Maybe that should have been in there somewhere, because that was really good fun. But I haven't played it again. I haven't finished that, so...
Yeah, I had I had loads of trouble with it when it had just come out of early access, and I think I finally got it working sort of late at night when it was I'd put so much effort into making it work that I never got around to going any further.
Me and Far Cry 4. That's me and Far Cry 4 in a fucking nutshell. So much effort into getting that thing. I'm like, oh, it works. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I
No,
had
if you
that.
want to see Far Cry 4, watch Dad³ play through it. Oh, it's fucking hysterical watching my dad play it. Like, because he's not great with first-person shooters, because, you know, he's like 60. So...
He's probably better than me, though.
I was about to say, he's probably better than you. But, no, so, like, every time there's an episode, I always, like, I after the episode, he's like, so, because he sends me the footage and stuff, the edited footage, and I watch through him. I love watching him. It's literally, his Far Cry 4 series is my favourite thing on YouTube at the moment. But I'm always afterwards like, right, so here's the things you missed that are going to piss the internet off. I was like, this is a thing. Like, he did the minimap. He doesn't pay any attention to the minimap. He didn't know what the markers were appearing around the cursor that say, hey, this person over here, or hey, this person over here. Okay. Which now he knows he's doing a much better job on, but it's so fucking funny. Like, he's got that me sort of thing of, I could take that quad bike and get there safely, or there's a glider over there that's facing the wrong way. Well, take the glider. Yeah, it's as the we should set up a new thing. It's not as the crow flies, it's as the cubed flies, which is the most fun way to get between 2 points. that should be a thing.
Yeah.
It's the cubed flies. It's very accurate. Yeah, you should totally be watching that series because I'm fucking loving it. She's good. It's like, there was a thing because it's got a lot less views because it's a complete series. It gets less views and things. He's like, "Is it alright if I finish it?" I'm like, "If you're enjoying it, just fucking finish it." That's the best content on YouTube. Is stuff that people like making. That's always been the thing. I don't give a shit if nobody's watching it. I love it. Keep making the damn thing.
Yeah, so long as he's got the one person on the view count that's you, it's
as long as it's still
not a problem.
He's got like he has right. Here's a fun look at the analytics. He has a much more dedicated fan base than me. Like, because he's got a little bit smaller. Like, his videos are only watched by, I think it's something like, because you have like, it's like 10% of all your subscribers will regularly watch your videos. That's like the number. And then of those 10%, you can check just that sort of like those sort of the numbers of how long they watch a video for. I average something like 4 minutes of my video gets watched, like on average. Just average 4 minutes my video gets watched. He averages like 9 or 10 minutes. It's like the highest I've ever seen before. People don't give a shit about me. That's what I just said. It's fine because I know it's numbers working themselves out. But I like that. And here's another little fact that Dad³ videos get watched for 3 years every month. Yeah, if you took the time out to watch them all, it's 3 years. His most popular video has been watched for like 11 or 12 years.
That's very cool.
That's very
also,
cool. Anyway.
Talking about in-house self-promotion, I noticed we've got a new jacket on Game Tea.
Do we? Oh, Matt always tells me to talk about these things because, like, I literally the only thing I do is I tick the box.
I was only mentioning it. Yeah,
Yes.
I was only mentioning it because I actually like this one. It's the
Vast
City one where it's black and the threes. Yeah, I didn't quite understand why people bought the last ones because it's not even our logo, whereas this is a bit more Nerd³, so I like this one.
They're way more popular. People wanna support me and look cool doing it, and that's fine. If you're one of those people,
but yeah, I like the Varsity jacket. Wasn't so much a fan of the others.
Making video games, I will point that out now. All the money that we've made for T-shirts, we literally every single penny of it has gone into making these free games so far, because we've spent a little bit more than that on the first one. Cool. Which I don't even know if that's up yet or not. That's it's finished, it's done. But we've got some shit that we can't talk about that we need to sort out first. So things and stuff.
This is Dan being on painkillers, forgetting that he told me not to mention this.
Oh yeah. But you can't mention like it's because I was like it's gonna be coming out, and then the thing went wrong. And fuck it, change the subject. Be in charge.
Okay.
I also have a podcast going
films
in
or TV.
Wrestling.
Films or TV.
I have watched literally no TV. Was Sherlock this year? No.
No, I don't think so.
I haven't watched any TV this year, so
okay, I will run the TV.
Run the TV as fast as possible.
Very quickly. Depending on when we count the start of the year, Doctor Who, the Christmas special last year was pretty good. So if that counts,
when this goes up, that does count.
Okay, in which case, I think Matt Smith wins Best Farewell. For A Town in Christmas and Hangdall's
Time of the Doctor. Such a great episode.
So that wins an award.
Yes,
I think. I think.
Can he also win the Best Doctor award?
Yes.
He sort of wins that one by default. A little bit off. It's fine.
I would like to give an honourable mention to a very small miniseries called Fleming, which was about Ian Fleming, who wrote James Bond and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But I actually learnt quite a lot watching it because I didn't realise Ian Fleming actually created the modern spy during Second World War.
Uh-huh.
He worked for, I don't know if it was MI5 or MI6, but he did actually create lots of counterintelligence plans and things, and did things like creating fake papers and putting them on bodies and shipping them off to shore so that the Germans could find them and think that they had the inside track, and lots of counterintelligence. And he wrote a lot of papers for the government on this is what spies should be like with hidden cameras, and he was the person who made and worked on the prototypes of those things. Now, obviously, by the Cold War, he was just writing novels, and James Bond is not an accurate depiction of how far things went. I think it was his exaggeration of here's where I think things should go that he actually made a difference, and then he went that extra few steps forward, which made it very enjoyable. But yeah, it was a very nice sort of, I think it was 3 or 4 episodes, but it was a nice sort of being able to see the true part of what he did.
When did he invent penicillin? What was that?
That was a different Fleming.
Oh. Okay, I've worked out who you're talking about now.
The guy who made Chitty Chitty Bang Bangs.
Alexander Fleming invented of James Bond.
And Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, yeah.
Yeah, I was my little drug addled brain was sitting there going, I'm going to take 5 minutes out to process that. You know that bit where Arthur Dent tries to get the computer to work out what T is on the spaceship?
Yes.
That's exactly what just happened in my brain. I mean, what do you mean death lasers? Hang on, I'm working this out.
Yes. As well as penicillin and death lasers, I thought we'd go on to the superhero TV shows.
Yes.
Honourable mention to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which has got so much better.
Oh, I only saw the first episode before I bored myself to death.
Oh, the first series was really dire, and the second half started to get somewhere, and now we're in halfway through season 2. I'm actually quite excited for a new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is such an improvement. So it's actually at a point where I would almost say, watching the second season is almost something I'd recommend, whereas the first season was very much something I was sitting through to do my dues to the franchise. So an honourable mention for their big improvement. And then The Flash. DC has made a pretty good TV show in The Flash. And unlike The Arrow, which is very dark and broody, everyone's a bit happier and silly, jokey superpowers and having fun, and I enjoy that. Though they recently did the mandatory crossover episode, but it's kind of nice to see the Flash freak out when the Arrow starts torturing people, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "I don't have superpowers. This is how I get stuff done."
I'm the man with the bow. That's all
but
I do.
I think the Flash is going to win my superhero TV show award.
Well, it can't, because John Cena is the best superhero of the year, as everyone knows. So John Cena wins in WWE.
Okay.
Which is
I
in
will
its
give
27th series. I don't know.
Okay, I will give the Flash the best fictional. Though whether or not wrestlers...
they win the best fictional.
I was going to say, whether or not wrestling's fictional is also another debate.
Give it to the... It's not a debate. You can give it to the Flash if you'd like. Did you know that WWE has a season premiere and a season finale, even though it's on every single week?
I didn't, no.
They have like one thing, they're like, and the season premiere! I don't know why, but they do. It's a weird little quirk, because they're longest running TV series ever. Because they're on all the time.
I was going to say, does that mean that they have a slightly longer season during leap years and things?
They have to, because every 3... I mean, because the difference between the pay-per-views jumps around a lot as well. Like, at the moment, we're only 3 weeks between them. So it's they do generally have to change and budge everything around based on if the year where the fucking Fridays and Saturdays and stuff are. Well, Saturdays, the Mondays are in the year, because sometimes you have more Mondays and less. It depends. So they have to budge things around. It's weird, but that's a stupid fact, and it's all I know because that wrestling's the only TV I watch this year.
I don't think that's quite true, because I think later on there's a section where my penultimate section is going to be a section which you've seen a lot of. But yes, I want to quickly do a few animation shows. Steven Universe, I think,
Rick
is
and
hilarious.
Morty. Rick and Morty was this year.
Rick and Morty is in my comedy section. Yeah.
Rick and Morty is the best TV show. Done. Next, movies.
No.
Spoilers. Spoilers, but that's fucking inevitable.
So Steven
I totally
Universe.
forgot Rick and Morty was this year.
So Steven Universe, I would like to put in as best animation and an honourable mention to the Star Wars Rebels series, which is actually pretty good.
Yes, Morty.
And
I was going to start singing the Rick and Morty theme tune. My brain went, yeah, I can't do that. I don't know what it is. I was about to start going, Rick and Morty. I don't know their theme tune.
For best science fiction, I would
Morty.
like to give
Rick and Morty.
I was going to give Rick and Morty best plotting.
It's going to win everything. From here on out, anything... Is Rick a superhero? Can we call Rick a superhero? Rick and Morty.
The 100 and Continuum were both amazing this year. If you like sci-fi shows.
No.
In their way, they weren't as funny as Rick and Morty, because Rick and Morty was hilarious. But
It's the best thing.
yeah, no, the 100 and Continuum were both really good if you like sci-fi drama, which I assume, being on our channel, you probably do.
This
so
is the channel where
both
we
of those. Both of those are very well done. Season 1 of the 100 was okay, but a little bit teen drama-y, and Season 2 has just been total political backstabbing and discovering the universe, and so has really been must-watch. Thoroughly recommend the 100. I think that wins my best sci-fi because I've given it to Continuum last year, but Continuum definitely gets an honourable mention for
Vetoed! Rick and
still
Morty
being
wins.
good.
I have the power.
I don't think we have enough time for me to fight all of these.
Good.
So the audience can make up their mind whether or not you have veto power.
I have veto power. That's my superpower.
Now for the comedy section.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. Well, Silicon Valley, although wasn't as good as Rick and Morty, did have a very... It told a very niche type of comedy, which was about nerds. But it was about nerds.
I don't even fucking know how to do the Rick and Morty theme tune. It's not... I know it and I could hum along,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't know it off by heart.
So,
Rick
Silicon...
and Morty. This is the Rick and Morty theme tune.
So Silicon Valley
Come on,
is a show
you're losing
which
a battle
is...
of paracetamol here.
I can tell. Silicon Valley is a TV show, and the thing about the TV
It's an
show
anagram of Rick
is...
and Morty.
It's not!
Prove it. You're
It's
dyslexic,
about-
you don't know.
Hey, it is!
Just do it.
Anyway, it's a TV show, but it's the thing that I really like about it is it's about nerds, and it's about nerds from a nerd perspective rather than the Big Bang, let's laugh at nerds. It's more of a... these are jokes that you only appreciate when you've been in truly geeky situations. The highlight of which is when they're talking about how badly... I'll tell you what, if you want to watch this, slightly skip over this, because this is a bit of a spoiler.
Okay.
You're not going to watch it because it's not Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to say, so there's a bit where they're talking about how badly they could... things were going, and they were going to go and give a talk. They're saying even if he spent the 5 minutes, spent the whole time jerking off every member of the audience, he would still be the worst person there. And they're like, but hang on, how could he jerk off every person? He's only got 5 minutes. And then they start trying to work out how long it would take to, and how many members of the audience they could get through, and start saying, but what if you organise the people tip to tip, penis size, then he could jerk off 4 people at the same time. And you know when you're there going, unfortunately, this is true of far too many science rooms I've been in. Yeah. That is a level of let's take something too far that is true to geekdom rather than picking at us. And it's not us in our best light, but it is us in a very true light and a way that hasn't been picked up by many other shows. So though it isn't anywhere near the caliber of the other 2 comedy shows...
That's the theme tune now.
I do think it is worth a special mention. The other comedy I really liked was Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Was really good. I watched all of that as well.
Because it was just so great. So, for
best
real life
show.
Yeah, best political show. It goes to him and
news, best news and
best news.
Sexiest Englishman.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you said it.
I'm only questioning it because I think Matt Smith is pretty sexy as the Doctor.
He's so old.
He's
not an Englishman. He's an alien.
Alien. Fair enough. Okay then.
John Oliver. Boom.
And then my TV show of the year, which I don't think you're going to accept, but I'll give you my show of the year. Jim Henson's Creature Workshop Challenge. Yeah, I'm giving my TV show of the year to a reality TV show because it was Jim Henson making puppets every week.
Yeah, no,
it was brilliant. It was like...
You see, the thing about reality TV is if it's just some people in a house who are shit, doing shit things, it's rubbish. But if it's genuinely something like competent people being competent, then it's actually quite engaging. This is why I really like MasterChef Australia, not the shit English one or the awful American one. MasterChef Australia, because everybody they get in, they don't get the people who are high drama, they get the people who, can actually fucking cook, and they get the best chefs in the world to come in and cook with them and stuff. And it actually is genuinely about cooking, not just drama. Although they do say the word disaster so much you could make a drinking game out of it.
Well, I really like the Jim Henson one, which is firstly because everyone is so supportive of everyone else, but also like especially compared to things like Face Off, which is another show by the same company who do it sort of special effects makeup. But every week they say, oh, we're going to do dragons. And you're like, oh, I know what a dragon looks like. And then they make what is basically a face sculpt. And you're like, that's not really a dragon. And every week it's just basically, let's do another face sculpt. And eventually they all end up looking the same. And I just get bored of it. Whereas with this, because the way that puppets cover everything, it's like, this time you've got to do it and it's all manual. Or this time you've got to do it and it's all... no puppeteers are allowed inside a cage, and your creature's got to be inside the cage. So it's all got to be operated externally. Or this week you've got to have one, and it's got a creator Skeksis, which has to have 2 operators inside it and 1 operator outside it. Or they did a week where it was sort of heads mounted on a wall. And because it was heads mounted, and it was mythical creatures who had had their heads cut off and mounted on a wall of a magician, and they got Turk from Scrubs in to be the wizard, and had a little chat with all of them because they actually like them and have the characters perform, and the performance is part of the judge. And it gets caught on camera so that it gets judged by what the camera sees rather than if you go up close and what do you see, as opposed to lots of other shows where you're like, you haven't actually put that in context. Whereas when you get to put the puppets in the light, it's just so great. And just so every week it really was a completely different challenge and just amazing good fun. And I can't work out if it's got a second season. It doesn't seem to have been confirmed or cancelled, and I want more of it because it was so... I like making puppets, I like the friendly nature, and I like the diversity and the amount of effort they put into it being funny, because a dedicated chunk of the end of each show was here's the stage test and the characters having their own character. So that was my show of the year, and I really hope it gets picked up.
Good. You're wrong.
So,
it was Rick and Morty.
But Rick and Morty was an amazing TV show.
Yeah. If you've watched Rick and Morty and didn't like it, that's because you watched one of the first 4 episodes. You have to once you get through his speech patterns, you'll start loving it, and then you can go back. It's not like the first episodes are shit; they're amazing. You just have to get used to the way it's done.
There's a certain resistance you need to build up. Immunity. No, it's not immunity. Oh, yeah, it's resistance. You need to build up your immunity to it, and then you can get through and see what you didn't see in the first place. But until you've built up your system to warding off the painful parts, you can't get the truly great parts. And it has an awful lot of great parts in it.
It's like constantly great. They even one of the episodes they broke up into wasn't it 15-second chunks, and they released it on Instagram in 15-second chunks, and you could watch through all of the chunks. But what it pointed out to me was that every 15 seconds there is a great joke or a piece of plot development. There's never a 15 seconds where nothing has happened. It was constant. That was such a clever idea to prove just how smart Dan Harmon really is. Because we all know Dan Harmon's really smart.
Yes. Community was also this year, but I don't know if that makes the list.
Community was this year?
I think so.
Was that the series where Dan Harmon came back and we were all like, no, because they had a Halloween episode. They always have a Halloween episode, I think.
Yeah, but just because they had it didn't mean that NBC put it in the right place.
That is true. I don't know. I can't remember if Community came out. If it was, then
I think it was
something.
this year.
I really enjoyed when it came back. I was like, that
because it came back at roughly the same time as Rick and Morty, because they watched Rick and Morty on Community.
Oh, yes. That was a cluster.
So they were roughly the same.
Yes.
Oh, remember, they aired at the same time against each other, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, they fought against each other, and Rick and Morty won, which was a really weird thing for Dan Harmon.
So we can totally say that it was this year.
Yes.
But whereas I remember exactly what Rick and Morty did this year, and I can list you a whole load of episodes, I can't remember what was in this year's Community. I remember it being significantly better than 4, which was painful, but I can't remember why it was better.
Okay, I remember Jeff came back and everyone was back at the college because everything in their lives had gone wrong.
Oh, I remember the memes, everyone getting voted on memes thing.
Memes.
They get social network and they all got memes and they had to vote. Oh yes,
there was that one. There was
the floor is made of lava. That was the good episode.
That was the floor episode. But there were, actually, now I'm thinking about it, there was loads of great episodes. There was the Ass Crack Bandit.
Okay.
The Ass Crack Bandit episode, including that fantastic
not
song.
Really.
The full song of that is amazing. There was the polygraph test one.
I don't remember that one either.
After Pierce dies, they have the polygraph test. No?
Yep.
They had to do they had the test, and it was great. It was great. They were all in the thingy, and they had to do the test, and they had that wonderful thing of Troy going, I wanted to say Butts Hamilton, and the woman on the polygraph went, he did. He was like, I love that. That was great. What else do we have? I think, to be perfectly honest, it was only like a 13-part series, so it wasn't that bad.
Okay. Well, we'll put that in as
Dungeons and Dragons
best
2. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was that. There was the one where they found that big pile of textbooks. Remember that one? And they were trying to work out what to do with it, and they all got sort of manipulative with each other. Oh, the G.I. Joe episode! Fucking hell! It was a great series.
Okay, I will give Community best comeback.
Yeah. Okay. Best proof that Dan Harmon is a genius, and I will die defending his honor. Anyway.
Okay, so that's TV.
We didn't mention Doctor Who, and that's because it wasn't very good.
I did at the beginning. We gave an award to Matt Smith for Best Farewell and Best Doctor.
There was a new Doctor. Can we get an award for most disappointing, highest?
We do have negative awards. We can award negative awards.
But because it came back and some of it had most fucked up potential, I think, would be the best award for Doctor Who.
Yes.
Because there were some episodes where the idea's great, the story's great, the way it's done's great, and it's just not Doctor Who, because there's some... I don't even know what's happening with the Capaldi character. It's just sort of like, They also have
not
shit
the
like
Doctor.
that Forest one. He's not the Doctor. He's not the Doctor enough. He has a few moments where there's a glimmer of it in him, but he's too... They're playing his aggression and his anger and that my good man thing too much, and the finale was wank, and who gives a shit?
Yeah. We've gone over this a lot, and we need to move on to films now.
We need to move on to films, because there were so many good films this year. Okay, don't talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, because I literally bought it today on Blu-ray.
Okay, so, Guardians of the Galaxy is not in my top 5, so I will not mention that. It does deserve an honourable mention, but
I'm looking forward to watching that.
Was just going to give out the 5 awards. Though you might want to give one for Godzilla. Was that this year?
Yes, Godzilla was this year.
I
loved Godzilla.
So I'm perfectly happy for you to give Godzilla whatever award you want to give it.
Okay, my best movies of the year were number 2, Godzilla, and number 1, the Lego Movie. We're done here. Goodbye.
Lego Movie is number 1.
Quite clearly. If you didn't have
quite clearly,
one, there's no soul in your body. That's the rule.
Yeah. No, for me, I want to give Intimidation Game the best dramatic movie for Benedict Cumberbatch and being Alan Turing, as said last week. X-Men Days of Future Past is the best action I have seen, I think, possibly ever. The movie itself has some flaws. Actually,
better than Scott Pilgrim?
Yes.
Ooh.
But only because, not in the way it's shot, just... They did superpowers properly, but they only did them in very short chunks in the future. So it did lots of portal tricks, like someone who could create portals and then the person could fall through them over and over again and things like that.
I saw a little bit of that, yeah.
And lots of sort of using portals to make things smash themselves up. And
it was clever, that's what it was. Yeah.
It did a lot of clever and it did a lot of impressive... felt like superheroes at their peak fighting other superheroes at their peak. And that was very... and that alone was, worth the price of admission. I felt that the plot itself kind of had a bit of mess up. I actually recorded a video, which I don't think I ever got around to editing and putting together, but basically where I rewrote the ending to make it so much better. But so I think the plotting adding up didn't quite work the way that I wanted it to. I'd have preferred other bits to work, but the future stuff, the sci-fi, was absolutely amazing. So that wins best special effects for me.
For me, I'd give Godzilla the best special effects because they... Okay. And I'd also give it best pacing, which I know piss a lot of people off, but I loved it. I love the fact they went, look, you're here to see Godzilla. We'll get to Godzilla, but first we need to make you really want to see Godzilla.
Well, if you want to have best,
shit out of his.
If you want to have best special effects for Godzilla, and I will take best action scenes,
yes, that's fine. I would say that, yeah.
Because I think that they're different things.
Yeah.
I would like to give best sequel to How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Go for it. I like the first one.
Because
I saw the first one this year. It was nice.
The first one's very good, but the second one is then set sort of 5 years later, but it feels like 5 years later. And the whole film is like, okay, here's where we took everything that we said in the first movie and then actually worked with it with clever brains and things and really advanced it. So, like, he's got a flame sword, which is using the combustible gas that the dragon's breath used to have, and he's worked out how to hold that into a flame sword. And stuff like that, where everything was just really cool, and even the aging of the characters, they took all of the characters from being kids into teenagers, and they really did a good job of the characters feeling the same and yet having aged. It was really, really well done, and the whole film didn't feel like it. Most sequels, especially when they weren't planned for, feel like they take a whole load of back steps so that they can retread old ground. And this was a film that very much felt like it had taken everything in the first film and it was now learning new lessons and new things and taking new steps forward. And I feel like it probably left itself open so that it can do that again to make a trilogy, which is a full trilogy with each film feeling separate, but also building off the other ones without it feeling any of them feeling Empire Strikes Back-ish in well, that was only half a movie, or any of the movies where you're like, okay, the first one's the actual movie, and then the other two had to kind of slightly unwrite the first movie so that they could make it a less tidy ending, so that they had something to do. So I felt they did a really great job of that. And then Captain America 2 wins my Best James Bond award. Because it was a great James Bond film. Yeah. And I haven't had that sort of film in a while. So I really liked that. So that's a lot of awards I gave.
DreamWorks are getting a lot better at making movies. Because the How to Train Your Dragon 2 is DreamWorks, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because
I'm trying to think.
Last year was really
The Croods
good.
was very good. And then they've got a few interesting things coming up next year as well, which I watched trailers for before we did this, and we'll talk about trailers for upcoming movies to finish this. But I can no longer remember what it was. Oh well, it will come back at some point. But they did do Shrek in the first place.
Despicable Me 2. Yeah, but they were always sort of the weaker Pixar, and now I think they're definitely getting that sort of...
I always felt that Shrek was competitive.
The
first one. The second one was competitive, but wasn't quite as good. After 2, everything went downhill.
I've not seen After 2. I don't think I've seen 2.
You should not watch After 2. 2 is worth watching. 2, they got to carry on with what they wanted to do, because it was all... Rather than the girl turning into an ogre, it was the guy turning into a human and things and stuff, and introduced Puss in Boots. But
now it's like the donkey turns into the dragon, and it's like, why is this?
What moral are you telling? Parallel universes and things, and it was just it shouldn't exist. It ended after 2. Okay. So they did some other things. The Minion movie's coming out next year. That looks interesting.
Yeah.
You were talking about Despicable Me too, because quite frankly, the only thing I like about Despicable Me is the Minions. So I'm looking forward to
lots of stuff.
Nah, it's just the Minions.
There's lots of stuff. A little bit.
It's just the Minions.
It's very sweet.
And that's why them having their own movie is good.
Yeah. I hope the movie has like no words in it. Just constant, just jibber jabber to each other.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah,
that would be great. They're making a sequel to The Croods. That was something I read recently. They're making a sequel to The Croods, but because they said the first one was about it was the final chapter of the cavemen. The next one's going to be the first chapter of civilization, and it's going to focus more on the mum than the dad in this one. So they're going to switch focus because they went, we just don't want to make the same film again. And there's me going, that's good. That's
respectable.
Thing. That's what we want. Also, a TV series that most likely will just be about the... shit. Oh, well.
But yeah, so that should be interesting. So yes, I think that having said that there was a lot of good films this year, I think we've got a lot of good films next year as well. That I think that I'm particularly looking forward to. I'm not sure if it's Jupiter Rising or Jupiter Ascending, but basically a new action movie trilogy made by the Wachowskis.
Yes.
And as a huge Matrix fan, I'm definitely looking forward to their first original work since The Matrix. And it looks like it's going to be crazy sci-fi action, which is what they do best.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to... I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be my new favorite favorite film of all time, but I do think it's going to be worth watching.
Yeah,
I think I'm looking forward to the new Avengers movie because I didn't like the first one. But I know that it's got a Hulkbuster armor, which is massive Iron Man costume. And once you say, I know there's going to be a really cool Iron Man scene. Mm-hmm. At least then I get to go and see it and go, well, there was some cool action. And I know it will be funny because it's still Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon might not write characters to my satisfactory level. Or no, it's not characters, it's tone he doesn't write to my satisfactory level, but he does write a damn good comedy script. There's no denying that.
Yep.
So that should be interesting. And then there are the 2 trailers I actually wanted to talk about.
Ooh. This is the award for the best film trailer.
No, there shouldn't.
There should, and we're doing it now, bitch.
Okay.
Veto, bitch.
What wins the best trailer?
Argument.
I think we did once give the best award, the award to the Muppets for the best trailers.
Yeah, for a film I never even went to see. Oh no, yeah, because they had all those.
The first one, not the second one.
I remember now. Yeah. I still haven't seen the second one. I really should.
You shouldn't. The best part of it is the opening song, which is we're making a sequel, which is a song about how they know it's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah.
But,
So the 2 trailers. I know the 2 trailers you want to talk about because I'm a psychic,
yes.
and they're the only 2 things I know.
And because I made you watch them beforehand.
One
of them you made me watch, and one I made you watch. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what they are now. One was Star Wars, I'm assuming.
It is Star Wars, yeah.
Star Wars.
What was your thoughts on?
What
was your thoughts on the Star Wars The Force Gets Up?
Yeah, it was Star Wars. They went, here's lightsabers, here's spaceships, here's desert planets. We're done here. And I went, great, that's a Star Wars film.
Yeah, my interest died almost immediately. I mean, halfway through the trailer, I was there going, oh my god, this is clearly made by a J.J. Abrams wannabe. And then I remembered it was actually directed by J.J. Abrams. And that didn't exactly help. Because...
I remember when I was watching it, when the lightsaber comes out and those 2 extra bits go out, my brain just went, ooh, the internet's going to shit its pants on that bit.
I like the Christmas tree one. Someone did a mod of it where they just put loads and loads of extra ones. But for me, there was just like a meh. Everything about it just said, you're going to watch this and not really understand what happened, and it's going to be pretty shots rather than clever stuff, and everything that it showed me just didn't feel Star Warsy. It felt J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
Yeah, because it's not Star Trek, though.
Because it's not really Star Trek.
I don't care for Star Wars, so I don't think I'll go see it. Done.
I suspect I will go and see it because I do care about Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I'm far more looking forward to the next episode of Star Wars Rebels, because that's been quite fun, than I am for the new Star Wars movie, because just that trailer alone made me say I'm going to suffer through this, because I don't like that. I don't like that pacing. I don't like the fact he's undoing basically all of or a significant part of Star Wars fandom.
Getting rid of everything but the movies. It was like, well, that's all shit.
He's definitely getting rid of all of the expanded universe that went beyond the first film. So there used to be everything from 6 onwards. There was a whole world, and all of that's non-canon.
I remember reading books about it. I used to rent them from the library when I was a kid. I had
Probably.
books that were like the unofficial 7, 8, and 9 things. They were quite good.
There was also things like the Young Jedi and the Jedi Academy and stuff. The X-Wing games, of course, were all in canon as well. The Kal Katana and Jan Oars, which were a computer game series, they did. I think it was... I can't remember what it was. But all of the computer games are all in canon, except for Force Unleashed, which is in a fuzzy area where they haven't quite... It was supposed to be in canon, and then the fans argued with it so much.
You're supposed to be the canon Force Unleashed!
And then they kind of unwrote it because of it. And Force Unleashed 2 isn't in canon at all. But most of it has all been in canon, and considering... I was going to make this rant some other time, but why the hell not now? This is the end of the geek generation. Like, the biggest sci-fi franchises of all time, I think, have all come to an end in the last few years. So for me, it's Star Wars, admittedly, J.J. Abrams is destroying a lot of these continuities. Star Wars, the main canon, which has been held for so many years, all the computer games and all of the books have had a very clear canon, and George Lucas has always controlled things. It's why there's been so little done set in between the prequels and the original movies, because George Lucas had kept it solid, clean, because he wanted to do stuff in that area. And it's rare that you have someone with that much control, because when you have a company who has that sort of control, they just start rebooting it every time they get bored, because they can sell more things when they reboot it. And to actually have that consistent universe, Star Trek was another one, also destroyed now by Abrams. Although it had sort of, the Prime universe was the solid, everything was there, and anything else was alternative to the Prime. Now that we're running enough down an alternate universe, you kind of ruin the fact that the Prime universe exists, and it's no longer the Prime and the others. It's now, okay, now we have two to decide between, and I just don't... It's not as consistent as it used to be. Also, J.J. Abrams' universe has issues because things didn't actually fit in with the Prime universe from before the change, because he didn't change things early enough. So he was wrong as well, which also doesn't bode well for Star Wars.
But it's fine for Star Wars, because I don't care about Star Wars.
You
know that thing where
Stargate is the other... Oh, sorry.
No, they always say the thing where they go, like, first they came for the... and people now spin this off. It's like, first they came for the Star Wars fans. Oh, was it? So fuck the rest of the people that come in this list, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
I disagreed with you though when he did it on Star Trek as well. But yeah, no, and then Stargate is also about to be reset. They're doing a new trilogy with the same creative team, which is weird. So Stargate was a solid world. So that's 3 of the biggest sci-fi franchises all resetting themselves and ending their solid canon. And I think it's just going to get rarer and rarer for us to have those big franchises that are owned by creators rather than by companies. Mm-hmm. As in Star Trek. The reason Star Trek lasted so long was because Roddenberry had such a strong control over it.
Yeah.
And it's like Harry Potter is very pure at the moment because it's owned by Rowling. Yep. But Rowling doesn't want to let other people in her world, whereas both Lucas and Roddenberry were happy for other people to add things. So I don't think Harry Potter can ever get to that size, but it will stay significantly purer because it never goes to that size.
In 100 years, when it goes out of copyright, there'll be like a modern retelling, just called Potter, done by one of Moffat's grandkids. And it'll be amazing, and I can't wait for it. And there'll be 3 episodes a decade. It'll be glorious.
I would not be surprised if Warner Brothers have the rights when J.K. Rowling dies or something.
Yeah.
Though I personally would really love it, and this also wouldn't surprise me given J.K. Rowling is the person we're talking about. Yep. If she did like Peter Pan and gave the rights to Great Ormond Street or a kids' charity, I would love that if she was to do that. And she's the sort of person who would do that because I think she's the only person ever to come off of the billionaires list because she gave too much of her money away to charity.
That's a good reason to come off that list.
That is a worthy title to have.
Yep.
Who are you? I managed to make a load of money and then I just gave it all away. That's a good that's a good thing.
She's good people.
There was a Star Wars trailer. I did not like it.
I thought it was okay. And then I didn't really care because it's Star Wars. I don't really care. I don't have that. It's not built into me to go, I'm R2-D2. It's the Millennium Falcon.
The thing was that I watched it and went, this feels like the Star Trek trailer, rather than watch it and go, wow, this feels like Star Wars.
Well, it was a teaser trailer, and the original Star Trek teaser trailer was awesome because it was a bunch of people building the Enterprise, and it looked amazing. So if you compare it to that level, it was wank. but I don't. I just basically they just went, look, there's shit that you know, and like here's the money, please, and a lightsaber to fuck up the internet.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I quite like the internet. That thing. I quite like the internet. I do. But it's just casing around the edge bits. I don't know why people are like, oh, just slice those bits off. It's obviously just a middle crystal coming up the thing that just branches off.
Yeah.
Don't be such stupid. Otherwise, that would be the worst idea ever if it doesn't do that. If it just gets sliced off in the movie, J.J. Abrams should be shot. There, I said it.
What you mean, like having a double-edged lightsaber that gets cut in half halfway, almost immediately?
I like that. Yeah, I didn't think it should have got cut in half, but I quite liked that battle. Darth Maul was awesome. Like, because I saw that as a kid. For me, Darth Maul was like, wow, Darth Maul was awesome. I wish he had, words. I
think Darth Maul had the problem where Darth Maul was a much better looking character than he was a character. Yeah. Whereas Darth Vader carried...
he was the bad guy.
Exactly. But he didn't have anything else in that movie that made him more than that.
Did he actually
I think he had about 5, yeah. But they're all things like, now they're coming for us, and... Yeah, he only had sort of very small... Well, they're not even plot lines. I think it was just a reason for him to be in the background.
Yeah.
He
had a double-edged lightsaber. I was 10. Fuck it. That's sort of
well, now he's come back and he's got robot legs.
Oh, fuck off. See, this is a good reason to kill off all the canon. Because it's just... I've seen comic books. I know the sort of shit they get up to. It's just... I've seen comic books. I've heard rumours of them.
And then the other one I wanted to talk about, the other trailer.
Oh, yeah, back there.
Yeah. For our final topic before we end this.
Yeah, this video is much shorter. This podcast is way shorter than the last one, I think.
Is it?
I think so.
I can't see what the time is.
I'm saying just over an hour and a quarter.
Okay, then. Well, the final thing I wanted to talk about was Inside Out by Pixar.
Yes! So I'm looking forward to, even though the trailer gave everything away.
Well, my view of what... I have 2 views on this. Mm-hmm. Depending on your definition of what makes a good movie, depends on whether or not I think this is going to be a good movie. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a great movie to watch.
Yes.
I think this is a bad movie for society.
Uh-huh.
Because we live in a gifable age, right? The age of gifs. Yes. And things that we see in the media are now used regularly in our daily life.
Yes.
I'm just saying, all you need to do is say, shut up and take my money in one comedy sketch, and that will be tweeted indefinitely.
That's just a random line from an episode of Futurama.
I know, but it works, and it's one of those... Pixar is very good at capturing things, and I get the feeling that if they're making a film about emotions, that's something that people are going to capture.
Tumblr bait.
But I also think it's a really bad representation of the psyche, and I think that particularly given the people it's aimed at, in particular kids, that I don't think anyone... I don't like it only being 5 emotions, and those 5 emotions, like, how strong is disgust in your emotions? That does not make my top 5 emotions.
I live with you, it's in my top 5.
Okay. And I don't like all of the emotions and things. I would rather it had been personality traits, so I'd rather it was optimism and pessimism rather than happiness and sadness.
Yeah.
And
happiness, sadness, anger, joy, and disgust.
Yeah.
Disgust is there for the jokes, let's be honest.
But their disgust character isn't even sort of...
disgust. Hang on, there's not disgust, is there?
It is disgust.
No!
It's the hipster girl is called disgust.
There's happiness. No, it's not happiness. Wait, there's joy.
It's joy, sadness. Are you Googling this?
No, you Google it. I can't remember.
It is disgust. Disgust is one of them.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. It should be frustration.
There's anger.
Anger is the small red one.
Joy. There's fear.
The blue.
You haven't mentioned fear. Purple.
I didn't mention fear. Yeah, I was going to get onto fear because fear's just written badly.
I can't remember now.
I haven't because I planned this. It's there. I don't need to Google it because I Googled it beforehand to check everything.
Okay. You didn't mention fear. That's what threw me. I don't know anymore.
Okay. There is fear, though fear is not fear enough. I would rather fear had been paranoia. And I'd have rather had... Like, one of the few things that Freud got right, because most of what Freud said was bollocks, but Freud was basically a guy who had issues and projected them onto everyone else.
Yeah.
That is my Freudian analysis.
Like Polygon.
That's my Freudian analysis of Freud. But one of the things he did very well was he said that everyone has ego, superego, and id. And I would rather have had a show with an ego, superego, and id inside it. And I feel that's closer to how we think than 5 emotions. And I think also, if you watch most comedies, at some time they talk about this is what my brain in a logical situation would do, and this is what I do with emotions. And you have that sort of, oh no, I understand, and then the person who overreacts. But they didn't have any sane voice. And then the superego and id argument is the id should be a very primal character who just does things like wants you to eat all of the time, or just... I mean, probably wouldn't being a Pixar movie, but would also be things like, let's have sex and stuff. But having a sort of caveman-like creature who just said there and went, eat, 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 and smash, smash, all the time, and everyone had to try and stop him from doing what he wanted to do, would have been a great character, but then that would also then later on be able to be used in analogies of addiction, because that addiction comes from... triggering your id at wanting to do those things when it doesn't want to. So it's like wanting to eat when you've eaten enough, but still wanting more. And stuff like that would be really useful later on at giving you language as you grow older. It's like how I use Dementors to talk about depression, because J.K. Rowling gave me that gift of an analogy that is strong. And for Pixar to give us an analogy of the human brain that is so, so broken and so bad, I just feel that it's either, at best case scenario, it's a missed opportunity. And at worst case scenario, there are people who are going to feel like they're weird because their way of thinking doesn't go in line with this, or people who... marginalize themselves because they're forcing themselves into a way of thinking that isn't accurate. And I think that there's a lot of damage that can be done to people who grow up with this. So I'm actually quite worried about its effects, but I do think it will be a hilarious film to watch.
But you see, I'll do. Hang on, okay. Everybody listen to this. Get ready to put your hand up. Right, everybody put your hand up if you know what happiness, sadness, fear, etc. are. Okay, let me count one. That's most of them.
Yeah.
I don't know why some people didn't put it up. Okay, now everybody put your hand up if you know what ego, superego, and id are. Nobody else put their hand up.
But that's why you would have this as a starting point to create it. And you don't have to call it id. It's only later on you can go, that's your id.
Yeah.
It's like when there are theories about the magic roundabout being about drugs.
Put your hands down now.
Sorry, yeah. All about the magic roundabout people being on different drugs, and kids don't have to pick up on that, but later on you can look at it and analyse it. Or
really? Is that what that was about?
Winnie the Pooh has lots of personality types in the Winnie the Pooh structure, and later on people can say, oh yeah, I can see how Owl is all about that bullshitting friend, and that friend who does that, and the friends in relation, the person who's networked his rabbit, and things like that. And no one says these are the personality types that they are. It's only later on that you can go back and go, oh, I did do that, but now I have a frame of reference for talking to someone who doesn't know about personality types.
Yep.
I could go back to that and go, you see that character? You didn't realise that he was called... well, I'll give you an example. Iago in Aladdin. Do you know who Iago in Aladdin is named after?
I don't know who Iago in Aladdin is.
You know, in Aladdin, there's the parrot.
I've heard of it. The parrot.
Jafar's
parrot. Yes.
Jafar's parrot. He's called Iago.
Okay.
And the reason he's called Iago is because in Othello, the Shakespearean play, there is the bad guy is Iago, and he just basically whispers into everyone's ears and convinces them to do bad things, and convince them there is problems, and convinces everyone that they're all racist when actually everyone isn't. And it's him messing everything up. And that's why they called the parrot Iago, because he's a person who whispers into their ears and tries to convince everyone that people are being dishonest when they're not. But no kid knows that. But then later on, when you find out about Iago, you can go, oh, I know that character. I've seen it before, and it makes sense. And you can do the same thing by putting in a character just called Id, who never does more than one syllable at a time, and is petulant. And then later on, when you're in a psychology class and someone talks about the Id, you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
You're saying that Pixar missed a trick.
I'm saying they missed a trick and possibly did a small amount of damage to people.
There may be when you actually watch the thing, the opening scene kills off all of those 5 and replaces them.
It's true, but the fact that there was the same 5 in each parent, I found frustrating. And then they didn't even stick to their own rules, because they had Sadness being in control of the mum. And Sadness being in control of the mum, she was not sad. She was optimistic that they could do something. Sadness should have been there going, don't ask the dad. Oh, don't do anything. We're all doomed. And Fear should have been going, she didn't say anything. She's on drugs. She's definitely on drugs. She's gonna run away and kill herself.
Of that scene, but the mother is filled with regret, isn't she? She's filled with regret. Yes. She didn't run off with. I'd
have been happy. I'd have been happy with regret as a personality trait, as a character who always goes, "Oh, do you remember? We should have done that." Like that would have been a great character to live in the head. The regret character. But he doesn't, and that annoys me.
You do it Pokemon style. You have 150 of the motherfuckers in there, right?
I'd have done that emotions,
too. And then you can make the collectible characters.
See, amazing. I also would have had, if it had been more than 5 and everyone had had lots of different ones, I'd have been happy with that, because it wouldn't have narrowed things down quite so much. It's just the feeling that there might be 5, only 5, and it's the 5 emotions. Because for me, an emotion is a state rather than a voice. That it's the balance of the voices that makes the state. In that, it's like I said, optimism and pessimism rather than happiness and sadness. Because I have an optimistic voice going, yeah, everything will be fine, and a pessimistic voice going, well, this could go wrong, and this will go wrong, and this could go wrong. And both of them can be happy, and both of them can be sad, which means you can still have the characters exist inside a person's head and be Pixar characters. Whereas if you've got someone who's just sad, they can't really do anything. They're just sad.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else beyond that. And a person who's in a constant state of fear is different to a person who's paranoid. Like, there's the paranoia and pessimism, which is the, okay, this could definitely go wrong. Okay, everyone should be aware that this is what's going on. This is clearly what's going on, even when it's not. Yep. That, as a paranoid character, is a great character, but they can still be happy and go, oh, this is great. I mean, they're clearly going to kill us all, but, I'm pretty happy. Whereas and then there's true, ultimate, oh my god, we're all going to die, sort of. And those sorts of voices playing in your head, I think, is a really common thing that they could have made such a strong narrative collection of personality types that would go on to be things that forever, when I spoke about my depression and things, I could use the analysis of Pixar characters. And I'm just disappointed that it really looks to me like a bad representation of those things. And I think it's important for Pixar to be those sorts of things, because I think that they're kind of going to do that anyway. As in, I know that Pixar movies are going to be successful.
Yep.
It's just a matter of how successful.
You expect better from the people who made Cars 2.
I expect better from the people who made WALL-E and...
Okay, that's fine.
Monsters, Inc. and...
Monsters University?
Though admittedly less from, Monsters University and... Ratatouille.
Yeah.
And Finding Nemo.
I like Ratatouille. And they're making a sequel to Ratatouille. I don't know. I can't remember. Are
I
we done
doubt
with this?
it. It didn't do well
with
enough.
this.
I think we're done. That's kind of my dulliner on the next year.
What's boring?
But I do think there's a lot of good things coming out next year. I think there's a lot of good action coming out. I think there's a lot of good animation. George Lucas has a musical fairy animation coming out. There is Big Hero number 6, because I know it's out in America, but in the UK it has not come out because Disney hates money and is stupid.
Hates money, loves their things being pirated to shit.
Yeah, which is what giving sort of a 3 or 4 month wait is. Birdman looks interesting, which I think again is also out in America. I think, and I don't know, I've only sort of heard this, but I think it's all shot in one take.
Ooh.
Or at least every scene is just one continuous shot.
Ooh.
But I don't know, I think the whole movie is, and it's Michael Keaton, who I know from Tim Burton as Batman, playing an actor who used to play Birdman as a superhero. So there's a meta-ness. There's a meta-ness that feels great there. And the all being shot in an interesting way. I think it's going to be a very dark superhero movie, and I don't think it's going to fulfill what I want from a superhero movie, but from an art movie, I think it's going to do a very good job, and it looks interesting. So I am really looking forward to that. As we said, Marvel's Avengers Age of Ultron looks interesting. I think there's a good chance that next year will be as good, if not better, with movies, and definitely better with with games.
Yep.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff I'm looking forward to next year in games that I have a good handful of games that I'm excited for, and then there's just the indie games we're expecting that I would just like to be better. I suppose Iron Bread. Oh, Iron Bread's in early access, isn't it?
Yep.
That's why it's not on any of our lists. Yep.
Right, so that's movies, TVs, and games done. Now on to books and music. So that was the Nerd³ World 2000.
Everything is Awesome was fun.
Everything is awesome.
Being someone who only... it's from this date to this date, isn't it? We said was the year, wasn't it?
Yes.
In which case, Frozen wins Best Musical.
Oh, I like Frozen. Yeah, done.
I mean, I don't think plot-wise it's very good, but musically it was phenomenal.
I said we're done. We're done. I vetoed
okay,
the
we're
whole
done.
Podcast. Goodbye, people.
Does that mean we have to record this again?
I don't know.
Okay, veto all of your previous vetoes then. And that's the end of
I veto the universe. That didn't come
and on that note,
I'm talking to you in, but that sounded awesome on the mic I recorded into.
Great. And on that note,
bye.
Goodbye. Ta-ra.
Bye. Bye. Get out of my house. Bye. They're gone. Good. I'm gonna have some cocaine.
Cocodamol.
Ah, that's the one.